Here we are. Good afternoon and welcome to Fashion Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith and I'm here with Marcy Carmack and we're discussing Thom Browne today. So Marcy found a terrific video on the Thom Browne website from spring, summer 2020. I think it's a great example of this designer. He's relatively new to me, but Marcy has had some personal interaction and experience with him. So we'll take a look at the video and Marcy will walk us through this. Good afternoon and welcome to Fashion Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith and I'm here with Marcy Carmack and we're discussing Thom Browne today. So Marcy found a terrific video on the Thom Browne. So Marcy, why don't you take us to the website and we'll take a look at this. Take us to the website. Marcy has had some personal interaction and experience with him. Let's take a look at the video.
Sounds good.
So we want to share a screen. I know we have to show the video in order to actually appreciate this this designer. Let's go to share screen and we'll take a look at this designer. Can you please click on share screen and we'll go to the Thom Browne video? It'd be terrific. Because Marcy found this earlier and let's just take a look at it. And we'll watch the video together and then we can discuss it in some more detail.
Sounds good.
So we want to share screen so we can find the video on the, you have it queued up on the desktop, I believe. So let's take a look at it on the desktop. There we go. Let's click on that and take a look at this terrific video from Thom Browne. Okay.
So I was in Paris at the same time this show was done.
We need to get out of Facebook. Let's take a look at this and see what they have to say about Mr. Browne. Such a beautiful video. I wish I could make this smaller.
So I was in Paris at the same time this show was done.
I can't make it smaller. I wish I could, but if we could make the screen smaller, then we could actually exit Facebook, and we wouldn't have to talk over our own recording of ourselves. But while we figure that out, we'll take a look at the video together. Can we just exit out? Just click on that. And let's just exit out of Facebook. Can we just close? Okay. There, I think now we're back to our enjoying this video together. It's a beautiful haul. Thom Browne. Marcy mentioned that he really is a creative genius and creates an experience. So really created a whole environment in this magnificent space for his collection. I think we might be paused, but maybe if we unpause, there we go. We can take a look at the video.
The collection really started with the idea of using the simple fabric of seersucker. And that's exactly what you walk into when you enter the space where the collection is being shown. It's really creating a garden purely out of gray and white seersucker, which is very true to the collection because I've used it really from one of my first collections. I want people to see that the collection has a true unique identity and stands on its own, and maybe sometimes isn't everybody's taste, but at least I'm staying true to myself and how I want to approach it. And
this is an American designer, right,
everything
Marcy?
that you see in the show in the collection is exactly what I want you to see.
And this is obviously taking place in Paris. This is a Paris show.
Yes, he's been showing in Paris for a couple of years now,
Good like that.
which is a big deal.
And then you can take a small one.
There are only a handful of American designers that show in Paris. Rodarte. So it's really pretty special.
With this collection, there is a strong reference to 18th century dress. And you see that being referenced in regards to the use of pannier and robe à la polonaise. But it being done in seersucker, I think made it live in the world of Thom Browne. This, you come out because you're chilly when you first walk out.
He's primarily a menswear designer, is that correct?
That's how I started his business, with this gray suit. And that's what he wears every day.
Beautiful textures and materials and fabrics, beautiful combinations. It's really, if you don't really get up close and take a close look, you really miss out on some of these great details.
Yeah, they're almost like
It's
couture
nice
details,
when it's like that.
or are couture
The beignet
details.
is really good.
These are really more conceptual pieces than practical, more commercial pieces, right? This is more fantasy end of the presentation.
Yes, he's always been known for conceptual fashion shows, and they're always a highlight of the fashion week season. I mean, I remember one of his first shows was, I don't know, we watched him, he made a movie and we watched the movie and it was
Collections
just
are where it all starts.
couldn't
But it's
understand.
important that it starts from a pure design point of view and not a commercial point of view. And it really frees up the world of creativity in regards to being able to create things that are so much more interestingly provocative and interesting to look at, as opposed to always being heavy-handedly commercial. But then in turn, there's a lot that actually can be taken away from the collections and interpreted commercially, because you also have to be able to support the work that you do. If you're going to do something conceptual, you have to figure out how that's going to be supported. So, you know, the business is also something that has to be considered, but after the idea of true creativity.
That's terrific. So he basically explained to us the idea that it's a conceptual concept and then it be rolled out commercially in a different related form. But you need to start with the conceptual beauty of the line first. That was really interesting.
That's the Palace of Fine Arts in Paris.
And Marcy, you were at the show, is that right?
I was. It was so exciting. I've been to many of his shows, but never in Paris.
And then did you wear your hair up like that or down? And you know Tom again from, you said from San Francisco? Where did you first meet Tom?
Now I know him through mutual friends in New York.
Oh, New York. I did like that the first shots of his showroom, looking at the more conceptual pieces in the background, you can see the actual garments on the racks, the more conventional pieces. I saw jackets, blouses, skirts, and pants, and the idea that it is highly conceptual, but you can see how it can be rolled out into commercial retail items.
And the pinions, so they know how much space they're going to be taking up.
What do you think the panier is?
We should know. That's why we don't call ourselves, that's why Marcy doesn't call herself a fashion expert. She's a fashion expert stylist. So don't quiz us on every name, but we'll look that up for you and find out after the video is over what that means.
It's to have a secret garden inside, first of all, because many people don't know that. You do. That's why you're showing it to them.
Okay, so is everyone here? Hi, Joe. Can I have the pencil?
And this is spring, summer 2020. So this was produced in October of
Right,
2019, is that right?
right before the pandemic. And I felt so fortunate to have gone to Paris before the pandemic. And that whole room is covered in seersucker. So the walls, the floors, flowers, everything. And it is a big drafty room, so all of the girls have coats on. I was thinking the panier might be the muscle.
Also very important, when you come to work with a photographer, you have to look at the camera. It's super, super important, especially the first one to make up. Okay, we need to clear the background, please.
Similar to the Chanel show we looked at recently, there's a large number of garments here. And that's a lot of models, and this is quite a long show. It's an extensive collection.
It is.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, it looks so.
Tom is such a nice guy. I mean, for all these wild things he does, he's really just a regular guy.
I love seeing some of these guests. Some of these guests are terrific. Some of them have incorporated some of the Thom Browne concepts. You said Anna Wintour was at this particular show.
She was.
Photographers, please move forward. Move forward, photographers. Move forward, please.
And that jacket with the almost like reversed stitching, reversed hem, like inside out with the threads. Is that a Thom Browne innovation, or what is that? What's the history of that? I've seen that look before, but what is that?
Point it out to me again. I'm not sure.
Well, kind of like with a seam, and then it's all the threads are coming out of the seams, like almost like it's turned inside out, and you see the rough side out. Is that?
That's
really,
not Thom Browne. That could be Chanel.
Could be Chanel. It kind of has a Chanel-ish look. Some of these items do evoke Chanel.
She might roll in her grave.
Well, Chanel in her time, that was essentially what she was doing. That was for masculizing. She was masculizing women, wasn't she? Somewhat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at those. I just think it's so fantastic.
I was pointing out, since we're here in Chicago, that some of these, especially that green jacket, remind me of George Seurat's Afternoon in the Grand Jatte at the Art Institute. They look like painted figures, characters out of 1800s France. And I was quizzing Marcy earlier about the use of color. I didn't really think of Thom as using a lot of color, but in reality, there's quite a bit of color in this show.
I have to say, the audience, the Chinese, are very just into gray, but they look totally chic. They were all doing it their own way, and I have some great pictures of them.
And you mentioned that Thom Browne is very, very popular in Japan. Japanese
and China
embrace him.
3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, I think we want a little fantasy during COVID.
Well, probably anytime. I appreciate the fabrics, the textiles. Everything is a discernible textile, traditional textile items.
And as I mentioned to Stanley, he always has his signature.
3, 2,
Oh, red, white, and blue grosgrain.
It was so loud, I wanted to wait a minute. Yeah, so you'll see it on each model.
Well, she's got the belt and the armband, right? And the
Baby carriage.
buggy has the logo also. I was going to call it the pram.
It is a pram. That's it.
Some of these models actually are stationary the whole time. I guess I realized that, but didn't really notice it. Some of the models are stationary on the runway the entire time.
It's a lot to take in the first time.
So I have the last model with me.
This is the last model. So a lot of these silhouettes, this is really 19th century almost, isn't it? With the bustle almost. It's kind of,
Yeah, 18th century France.
so it's the corset and the bustle and the whole silhouette.
Mm-hmm. And thus the hair.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I hadn't picked up on that.
French Revolution time.
It's time for a revolution all over again. Some things never change. Yeah, it's so interesting. So fun to see these. And Marcy and I've looked at this earlier, and seen it the second time. You really do pick up on so many more things.
My job is to make people think, make people see sometimes classic ideas more interestingly. It's not always for wearability. It's not always for commercial reasons. It's more to move the needle forward in regards to seeing clothing differently.
Stand by for THOM. In 3, 2, 1, go.
He's so cute.
Well, you're right, Marcy. That was a very entertaining show. Theatrical, tasteful, and great audience. Beautiful setting. Lovely music. Poignant music. As the crowd enjoying the space and then discovering. So Marcy's going to cue us out of that video. And we appreciate you for sticking through our technical difficulties earlier. And as I said, it was helpful for Marcy and I to see this video about 3 times now. Each time you notice something different. We want to invite all of our guests back this evening at 6 o'clock Central Time for Fashion Coffee Hour, when we'll take a look at the video again and have open discussion with the rest of our guests. So until this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, we'll say goodbye.